What's the real difference between a company that's just good and one that's truly great? A lot of the time, it comes down to this relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of perfection. I'm talking about wiping out nearly every single error. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the powerful methodology designed to do exactly that. It's called Six Sigma.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get a handle on what Six Sigma even is. Then, we'll dig into why even the tiniest errors can have these massive, staggering costs. After that, we'll check out its core principles, take a quick trip through its history, and finally, we'll meet the folks who actually make it all happen, the Six Sigma belts.
So, first things first, what in the world is Six Sigma? At its very heart, it's a way of thinking, a framework for tackling this one universal problem that pops up in any process. Doesn't matter if you're building a spaceship or just making a sandwich, and that problem is variation.
Just think about it for a second. A single comma in the wrong place in a line of code. A measurement that's off by a millimeter. One package sent to the wrong city. By themselves, they feel so small, right? Almost insignificant. But when those little things happen again and again and again, they snowball into enormous problems. And that's exactly what Six Sigma is designed to hunt down and eliminate.
So here's the official take. Six Sigma is really two things at the same time. On one hand, it's a methodology. That just means it's a structured, step-by-step way to make things better using hard data, not just hunches or guesswork. But on the other hand, it's a statistical goal. That Sigma part, it's a measure of how much a process deviates from being absolutely perfect. So hitting Six Sigma means you've reached a level of quality so ridiculously high that you only have 3.4 defects for every million chances you have to make one. The whole idea is simple. If you reduce the variation, you reduce the chances for mistakes. Fewer mistakes mean fewer defects and, well, much happier customers.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, 99.9% accurate? I'll take that any day. That sounds amazing. But this is where it gets really interesting. We're about to see how that tiny, tiny little fraction of a percent left over can mean the difference between success and, well, disaster. The gap between almost perfect and Six Sigma perfection is absolutely staggering. Okay, so let's take a look at a process that's 99.97% accurate. In the world of Six Sigma, this is called a 5 Sigma level of quality. I mean, it sounds practically flawless, doesn't it?
But what does that percentage actually look like when the stakes are high? When we translate that number into the real world, well, the results might just shock you.
Okay, just look at these numbers. At a 5 Sigma level, which again sounds amazing, the US would still see over 2,400 errors in commercial flights every single year. But get this, at 6 Sigma, that number plummets to just 35. And it gets even more dramatic in healthcare. 5 Sigma means nearly 12,000 surgical errors a year. 12,000! With 6 Sigma, that number drops all the way down to 174. You can see right away, that gap isn't just a statistic on a chart. It represents thousands of real people, real lives.
Let me put it another way, because this is wild. At 5 Sigma, a patient is 68 times more likely to experience a medical error. Just let that sink in for a moment. 68 times. This is why almost perfect just isn't good enough. This is the very real human cost of that tiny gap in quality.
And of course, the cost isn't just human, it's also financial. Big time. Let's use an example we can all wrap our heads around. Amazon. Picture their single busiest day of the year, Cyber Monday. And let's be conservative and say every little mistake, a wrong item, a lost package, costs them about $35 to sort out.
Now, look at this chart. It's night and day. Operating at a 5 Sigma level, Amazon would be losing over $300,000 on that one day alone, all because of errors. But at a 6 Sigma level, that cost nosedives to less than $4,400. That's a savings of over $250,000 in just 24 hours. So the takeaway here is huge. That tiny, tiny fraction of a percent is worth millions.
Okay, so we've seen the why. It's pretty compelling, right? Now let's get into the how. How on earth does Six Sigma pull off these incredible results? Well, it's all built on a handful of really powerful, common-sense principles that all work together.
It all kicks off with the customer. Everything you do has to be laser-focused on what they actually need and value. From there, it's all about constantly, continuously improving. You systematically hunt down and reduce that variation we talked about, and you find and remove any steps that are just waste. But here's the crucial part. You have to empower your people to keep those improvements going, and you put controls in place so the whole process doesn't just slide back to the old sloppy way of doing things. To really get this, let's zoom way in on what is arguably the most important idea of them all: reducing variation. Honestly, this is where the magic really happens.
All right, let's make this super simple. Imagine you own a pizzeria. One customer complains, "Hey, way too much cheese." And the very next one says, "Where's the cheese?" That inconsistency, that's variation. So what do? Step 1, you make a rule. 1 cup of cheese for a small, 2 for a large. Okay, it's better, but it's not perfect. Why? Because some of your employees are heaping the cup, others are barely filling it. So step 2, you give everyone standardized measuring cups. Now we're getting somewhere. The variation is way smaller. But to really nail it, you train everyone on the exact same technique. Fill the cup until it's overflowing, then scrape the excess off with a flat edge. See what just happened? With each tiny step, you're systematically squeezing out the variation, making sure every single customer gets that same perfect pizza every single time.
You know, an idea this powerful doesn't just appear out of thin air. Six Sigma is actually standing on the shoulders of some absolute giants of industry and statistics. To really appreciate it, I think it helps to know where it came from.
The story actually starts way back in the 19th century with the math behind the normal curve. You know, the bell curve. Then in the 1920s, a guy named Walter Shewhart developed statistical process control. Fast forward to after World War II, and W. Edwards Deming takes these quality ideas to Japan, which helps spark the revolution that led to Toyota's legendary production system. But it wasn't until the 1980s at Motorola that an engineer named Bill Smith finally put it all together and gave it the name Six Sigma. And then, of course, in the 90s, the legendary CEO of GE, Jack Welch, turned it into a global phenomenon, making it the core of his business strategy and saving his company billions of dollars.
So who are the people on the ground actually doing this work today? Well, Six Sigma brilliantly borrowed a system from martial arts to show different levels of expertise, the belt system.
It all begins with white belts, who just know the basic lingo. Yellow belts can be part of a project team and help out. Then you've got green belts. They're the real workhorses, the ones collecting and analyzing a lot of the data. The projects themselves are led by black belts. And at the very top of the food chain are the master black belts. They're the coaches, the mentors, the strategic gurus for the whole organization. It's a really smart way to build and organize expertise.
So you see, at the end of the day, Six Sigma is so much more than just a corporate tool or a bunch of complicated charts. It's really a mindset. It's a way of looking at the world, of understanding any process, finding the root causes of errors, and then systematically, relentlessly making it better. It's all about creating consistent, reliable value.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one for you to think about. Look at your own life, your own routines, at work or even at home. What are those small, annoying, recurring frustrations, those hidden defects? And what simple, systematic change could you make to get rid of them for good? Turns out the pursuit of perfection can start absolutely anywhere.